Welcome. I'm Saima Ijaz, joining you from Nanaimo, British Columbia, located on the beautiful traditional territory of Snuneymuxw First Nations. Today is the first of a 10-part series about understanding the various aspects of a new diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder with practical strategies and steps for guidance. It's a resource for not just the parents of the diagnosed child, but also for the extended family and friends who would like to understand what the parents go through, and for the service providers to acknowledge the family's perspective. The session is being recorded for later viewing. Saad is moderating the meeting, and you can send your questions to him anytime during the presentation. I believe in working for parental empowerment and think that it's one of the decisive steps for building a better future for our diagnosed children. The process of receiving the diagnosis and accessing services is both difficult and frustrating. Parents often report high levels of stress and low levels of well-being and parenting efficacy. Knowledge and information about the medical and developmental issues related to autism spectrum disorder, intervention and services, community resources, and strategies of developing meaningful connection with their diagnosed child enhances parents' perception of their own abilities of managing day-to-day challenges associated with this disorder. This also helps them in accessing better services for the child and advocating within the community, and has an overall positive impact on their self-esteem and quality of life. This 10-part series is an attempt to accomplish that for the viewing families. This is an overview of the topics for today. I will shed some light on what happens in the year before and the one after the diagnosis, the array of emotions parents experience at the time of the diagnosis, the stages of grief, and what can help parents stay focused while they reach acceptance. We'll go over some simple steps for improving child's interaction and encouraging his exploration. How to navigate the tough task of selecting the therapy and the professionals, channeling energy of anger in a constructive way. I'll mention a must-read book that'll explain the early stages of communication of kids on the spectrum. And we'll talk about taking personal care and managing other relationships during this challenging period. Parenting any young child is exhausting, and it's a learning experience. Challenges multiply many folds when the child is on the spectrum, and they are there long before the diagnosis is reached. Some of the ways ASD children are different from the typical ones are how they communicate and interact. They might pull or push you towards a desired thing, or just stand and stare at it instead of asking for help. They usually lack eye contact, do not smile back or wave, don't reach out for a kiss or a hug or respond to being called. Child might be behaving differently, avoiding certain things strongly, and won't let go of a particular object. Gets upset for no apparent reason and is hard to console. It's difficult to teach them simple tasks like washing hands and face, brushing teeth, and about keeping safe. So all in all, it takes an extra and lots of extra time for parents to take care of this child. Parental concerns deepen when, despite their efforts, the challenging issues heighten and the developmental delays start becoming more obvious and pronounced. Visits to a pediatrician can lead to a developmental assessment and the diagnosis. Currently, 1 in 44 8-year-old children have a diagnosis of autism, which makes those on the spectrum to be a little over 2% of the entire population. Majority of the children get diagnosed between the ages of 5 and 11. Second diagnostic peak is for the adolescents aged 12 to 17. And then there's a growing number of diagnoses in younger children now under 4 years of age. Lots of emotions surround the parents of the newly diagnosed children, like guilt, thinking that I have somehow caused it, which is never true. Grief, due to the loss of the life parents have envisioned for their child and themselves. Anxiety, what the future and the society holds for this child, what will happen to him when I'm no longer able to care for him. Frustrations about delays and irregularities of services, finding the right resources, about the questions and attitudes of the people around you, the insensitivities, judgment, and prejudice that the families experience. Knowing that all the parents go through these emotions following the diagnosis provides a little bit of relief. Parents go through the 4 stages of grief to reach acceptance of the diagnosis. While some parents feel shocked about learning of their child's autism diagnosis, others act with disbelief. You may probably think it's a mistake and seek out 3rd, 4th, and a 5th opinion. That's when we are in a denial. Then comes anger, which is considered a healthy reaction to the frustration and stress associated with overwhelming news. Unfortunately, it may manifest itself as a rage towards yourself, your children, your spouse, or the doctor who diagnosed. Then comes bargaining. At this point, magical thinking kicks in. You'll promise yourself a higher power or an expert to do certain things to change the diagnosis. Or you may buy into the idea that specific treatment or therapy will cure it and keep looking for a cure to emerge. Remind yourself that autism is not a disease. Be suspicious of anyone who promotes and promises you a cure or an easy fix. Then comes depression after the initial shock. There's deep sadness and grief. Consciously or not, we all entertain visions of our children's future, and parents of children with autism mourn that vision. Eventually, parents accept the diagnosis as inevitable. The path forward becomes clearer. They find power in asking questions and learning the answers. At this stage, many families are more eager to investigate treatment options and get support from others experiencing a similar situation. During the stages of grief, parents need to remember that getting a diagnosis hasn't changed the child or made him any less. They always could tell that the child was different and needed extra time and care. With the diagnosis comes information and professional guidance for the family for better understanding and early interventions. That'll make life easier and manageable. Parents tend to panic when they hear that autism is a lifelong condition. That doesn't mean that he will not be able to learn and grow. It means that the way his mind processes information will stay the same. He will learn in his own way, at his own pace, and with the right help and support, he can go pretty far. And the learning process doesn't stop at age 8. They continue to learn throughout the life. Even as you process your feelings, it's crucial to remember that you are your child's best advocate. You know your child better than anyone else. You know that what he needs and wants, even when the child can't speak. You know that he's been communicating through stems, facial expressions, and behaviors. Be your child's advocate and share his voice. You're the one who has been taking care of him from day one. The love that you have for your child and the determination to give him the best life possible will give you the strength to overcome even the toughest of challenges. There are so many questions you might have, along with a long list of places you need to contact, referral to be made, and paperwork to start before your child can get further help. You may feel you want to accomplish everything all at once. Fight that impulse and take one task at a time. Make a list of what tasks need to be completed and break them into manageable pieces. For example, this week I'll check the list of the local professionals and find out about the services they provide. Next week, I'll contact the Child Development Center to discuss what services and supports they offer for children diagnosed with autism. Knowing that you are not alone usually takes away some of the isolation. Some of the best people I've met have been through connecting with the autism community. Find local community autism groups and nonprofit organizations that offer free play groups, activities, and family events. Join a disability parent support group to connect with parents who will understand your situation. Join an autism walk for awareness, attend autism fairs, and check the society website to acquaint yourself with the community resources. The more you connect, less isolated you'll feel on this journey. Nothing makes us feel better than connecting with our children, and not being able to do that with our diagnosed one sits heavy on us. A very simple step that you can start working on is to tweak how you interact with your child. Focus more on the use of words and phrases instead of sentences. Say what you're doing and repeat it a few times. Like when helping a non-speaker learning how to brush his teeth, say, let's go brush teeth. John is brushing teeth. Good brushing teeth. We will brush again at night. Name things that your child shows interest in, touches, or picks up. When you ask a question like, what would you like to eat? Also mention options, bread or cereal. Offer choices throughout the day. Reinforce any engagement right away with smiles and hugs. Use gestures like high fives, fist bump, thumbs up. Introduce pictures, labels, and structures. You might already have several fidgets and sensory toys at home that your child hasn't shown much interest in. Show your child how to play by modeling if he has imitation skills. Otherwise, hand over hand guidance just for a few minutes, one toy at a time. Let him experience squeezing Play-Doh or a stress ball, pressing buttons and switch toys, and see the lights come up or the music play, blowing and popping bubbles, shaking a maracas and listening to the sound, feeling textures using different materials. This will encourage his exploration, improve his use of hand muscle, and give him a sense of cause and effect with a play partner. Raising curiosity and exploration not only leads to learning, but will also help the child remember what he has learned. Spectrum kids are very intuitive, and staying calm in their presence is important. Practice deep breathing and relaxed body postures when you're together. Document 5 things that grab your child's attention and interest, like floating bubbles, sprinklers, crunching dry leaves, juice, or a specific snack. And 5 situations and happenings that make him tense, makes him space out, scream, or run away, like crowds, sound of a siren or doorbell, sound of thunder, bright lights. Turn this into a living document, update it often, and share with everyone who spends time with him. One of the most important choices parents make after a child's diagnosis of autism is which therapy will be most suitable for their son or daughter. One of the benefits of being a BC parent is that autism funds become proactive from the day of the diagnosis. You are then handed a list of professionals for different therapies as a RASP list, which stands for Registered Autism Service Providers. And you get to decide who will work with your child if he's under 6 years of age. You can find BCBA behavior consultants, speech language pathologists, and occupational therapists in your area and find out who is currently accepting new clients from this list. No one knows how to choose the most suitable therapy for a child with autism. This knowledge is only acquired through experience, and this takes time. Setting goals in areas requiring intervention can make the selection easy. A reasonable behavior program plan for the early intervention should cover at least 5 to 10 subdomains. Try to answer, what would you like to achieve through therapy? Many professionals will guide you through a goal-setting process. If they don't, then insist that they do. When formulating goals, first think broadly. For example, I want my child to learn to talk. And then think of clear and defined outcomes that will help you along that path, like I want my child to be able to request food, drink, and help. Ask questions, explore, plan, have monthly meetings about the progress and the next steps. Do not worry, you'll get a hang of this really fast. A year of home-based program is recommended for a young child with a diagnosis to give him school readiness skills. However, that means availability of one of the parents at home, and it's not always feasible for every family. For 3 to 4 years old so if you have a 3 to 4 year old and both of you or one of you can't be available for the year-round therapy, I recommend that at least 6 months of home program with a couple of hours of daily sessions, then add 2 hours at a child development center or daycare to be so that he can be with other children along. There you can set some new objectives and goals at the center, as well as generalize the home learned skills. For a school-age child, you can have the therapist working on some of the IEP goals in the evening or on the weekends. Although choosing and combining interventions is currently an imperfect science, you and your family are in control of the process. Remember, you are the consumer and members of the therapeutic team are the service providers. Review your child's progress, review the positives and negatives of the therapeutic approach, and review your family circumstances. Ask as many questions as you have. Evaluate the fit and make a choice in 6 months to a year into the therapy about continuing with the same team, combining with another approach, or switching to another one. No two families are the same, and neither are their circumstances or dynamics. One thing is certain, there will be disappointments, whether dealing with the system or the professional teams, during transition periods, or at the lack of understanding from the friends or family. That's going to cause frustration, anxiety, and anger. Think of anger as a mechanism that helps us release tension and find a way to vent that doesn't hurt your relationship with others or harm you. Channel that energy into finding ways and setting activities for your child and yourself. Set 2 to 3 blocks of 15 to 30 minutes where you can spend one-on-one time with your child, assisting, playing, cheering. Does he like to run? Turn it into a game. Ready, set, go, and run together. Jump on a trampoline. Begin everything at his level and then gradually build on that. Teach him how to ride a tricycle. Do you have some back space in your backyard? Get a sandbox and a swing, or use rice table on the patio, have bins for pasta and green in a corner of it. Does he enjoy bath time? Make it long. Get some squirt toys and encourage water play. Sing along with your child's favorite Disney movie songs or nursery rhymes. Add actions and create funny dances. Remember, 30% of the fund that you receive, the autism funds, can be used to purchase equipment for the children. And what it needs is an approval from your behavior consultant or your therapist. And like if you set a goal, you need to work on the fine motor or gross motor skills. You want him playing with his brother. So set a goal and then justify why you're asking for that, and then get it signed. Any activity that your child likes, build on that and ask your other kids to join. It's essential to keep your mind, body, and spirit healthy so you can be there for your family. Try to schedule 30 minutes just for you. Taking time for self-care will keep your mindset positive, which in turn helps your whole family. Go out for a nature walk and try to focus on what you see, touch, and feel on your walk. Be in the moment. Make yourself a hot cup of tea and curl up with a good book. Treat yourself to a warm bath. Put on music that makes you smile or watch a heartwarming movie. Information at and after the diagnosis can be overwhelming and confusing as it covers the whole spectrum. You may be tempted to read every article that comes up online, buy every book on the shelf, and take in as many perspectives as possible on autism. The urge to quickly assimilate as much information as possible is a normal reaction. You want answers now. Remind yourself that your child's autism diagnosis is a lifelong journey. You have plenty of time to deepen your knowledge and understanding. Keep in mind that your child is unique and no one knows him more than you. And understanding his way of communication and building on that will ease the path. I just have the right book for the parents with a new diagnosis. More Than Words by Fern Sussman will give you many ideas to connect with your child. It's a book that I benefited from as it helped me see how my child was trying to communicate and interact, and it taught me how to reciprocate that. It tells us how to talk to the child so he can understand better. Provides an understanding of why a child behaves certain ways and what to do about that. Explain the use of pictures and print to help the child's understanding, and guides how to develop child's play skills and help him make friends. What I really like about this book is how it explains the 4 stages of communication that children with autism spectrum disorder present with. It's color-coded and teaches you how to approach different objectives for each level with simple illustrations and steps. Red are the discoverers who can react to how they feel and to what is happening around them, but have not yet developed the ability to communicate yet. Mustard are communicators who send specific messages directly to a person without using words. Remember how I said, when your child is pulling or pushing you, that's what it means here as the special message. Greens are the first word users. They use single words or sign or use pecs. Purples are combiners who combine 2 or 3 words into phrases. The book showed me how to follow the child's lead. It explains what motivates communication and how to turn daily activities into learning opportunities. So you're not going out of the way to do and plan things. It's what you're already doing and what you can tweak in there just a little bit to get your child's attention. I think it's the 4th edition that's available now. You can also find an online PDF copy of the book to download for free, so please check it out. Setting routine is great for your child and good for you. Be consistent with guidance and interaction so they can practice what they learn. A visual schedule goes a long way in improving focus, comprehension, and setting up of a routine. Now let's take a look at our personal relationships. In the year following the diagnosis, under the overwhelming stress and tasks, we develop a tunnel vision of our personal responsibilities and are unable to see or connect with our partner's view. Communication with the life partner could be less than perfect as there is a gender difference of how we process our emotions and plan for the road ahead. This puts a lot of stress on the relationship. There is a high incidence of separation and divorce during and after the diagnosis of the child, which in some cases can be avoided by just giving each other enough space to process acceptance at their own pace. In most cases, moms connect with other parents more readily to listen in and share some issues, which helps lessen their isolation and sadness. They also get more involved in the therapies, generalization of the mastered skills, and autism-related community events, which raises their self-esteem. Most dads, on the other hand, tend to spend extra time at work, don't share with anyone, and keep their feelings cooped in. They also have a hard time admitting their feelings and asking for help. On an average, it takes them much longer to step out of the sadness and to reach acceptance. It's especially true if the child has more complex issue and is progressing really slowly. Share with your partner highlights of your work and try to set half an hour on the weekends or on his off days where your child can show him some of the mastered skill with your assistance. Let him know about the availability of online dad groups and other events for parents by various support groups. What I have observed during these, even though the dads might be spending less time with the child, they usually connect really well with them. Some because of their quiet and relaxed personality, others due to their hands-on approach, like a weekend activity of washing car or fixing something. And being with dad, even if it's for a few hours, adds to the child's sense of security and confidence. Parents tend not to share much around the diagnosis and therapies with their other children as they don't want to worry them. However, these kids can sense that the parents are worried and overall something's wrong with their brother or sister. They get confused, they have questions that they hesitant to ask, and they start feeling neglected. Just spending 5 to 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference for them. Just give your child a long hug, pull her onto your lap, go over a picture book or an app, or join them in their play. Once a week, take them out for a drive or a walk. Acknowledge being busy most of the time and not able to do much fun stuff as you would like to. Ask if they are okay, if there's something they would like to ask. Ask specific questions like, are you worried about your brother? Tell them about the diagnosis and that it's going to be okay. We can figure this out together. Ask if they think you are being unfair by spending more time with the brother or being too lenient with him. Tell them it's okay to feel what you feel. Do some gentle probing and listening. For more on this topic, please check the webinar on the siblings of the spectrum kids. Biggest motivator for the child with autism is an acknowledgement from his siblings. This is what most siblings long for as well. So nurture and encourage their interaction. Set a small window of structured and assisted activity and playtime. Tell them that they are the best role models for their brother and he looks up to them. Ask them to show dad what your sister or brother did for you. If you decide to share your child's diagnosis with family and friends, be prepared for a variety of reactions. Even the most well-intentioned loved ones may react in ways you may not like. Try not to take their lack of understanding personally. Remember, they don't understand the diagnosis as well as you do. Educate them in an informative manner. If you feel that you're not ready to talk about the diagnosis, just use my booklet BC tool to make a make a booklet, simple booklet about your child with pictures, strength, and his interest, and share it as a PDF link. This book can grow with your child with occasional add-ons and edits, and can help others know your child as a kid first and a diagnosis second. Among the most important things you can do for your child and for your family is to recruit a team of supporters, people who can and will remind you of your progression and that this process is harder than you give it credit for. Think of this as a 5-finger principle. Each person in your support team represents one finger. In a time of need, you first turn to the person represented by your thumb. If you can't get hold of them, then you turn to the person represented by your index finger, and so on. By the time you get to your pinky, you'll have found someone who'll be able to listen, babysit, run an errand, or simply tell you that you are a wonderful mom. My main supporters in my journey have been parents of children with autism and other disabilities that I have connected with over time. Now they have become my friends and my extended family. This concludes today's presentation. Did you receive any questions, Saad?
Yeah, I got a handful that have come in. The first one, are there other books like More Than Words that you can recommend?
There are 2 other books from Hannon. It Takes Two to Talk for young non-speakers and learning language and loving it for the next phase, which I highly recommend. There's another book that's my favorite. It's How Do I Teach This Kid by Kimberly Henry. She's a speech language pathologist and has a child with autism. So, and it'll tell simple ways how you can build cognitive skills using visual tasks. So do check these out. Thanks.
Our next question is, I accepted my child's diagnosis years back, but I think that I am still grieving. What can I do to overcome that?
Acceptance of the diagnosis is recognition of the fact that life is going to be different from how you envisioned it before. Also, acceptance doesn't mean that you will not experience the stages of grief anymore. They do appear in various forms and degrees, especially when you felt a regression in the services or something that you tried to set up and or your goals not being matched. And these appear in various forms and degrees, but not with the same intensity that you experienced the first time. And there's also hope, progress, and joy of the new journey. Now, if you feel that you've been stuck in sadness for a while, I would encourage you to bring it up with your family doctor and to figure out the reasoning behind, and if you need some extra help to step out of it.
Can you comment on why children with autism are such picky eaters and mention some simple strategies for us?
Question, Saad? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I think there was a connection issue. Can you comment on why children with autism are such picky eaters and mention some simple strategies for us?
That's a great question. Eating issues are so common with children with autism that I still have to find one that a mom would say that my child eats fine. Think of how our kids have heightened senses. And while eating, you feel the texture, there's smells, there's taste. And while you're eating, there's the sound of eating. So all the senses acting all together, working together when we eat. And so it's a high sensory experience, which kids have to get used to. Few things that I did was, try to introduce one thing at a time, and have a small portion of that, and have something else that your child usually wants to eat. So encourage him to take just one bite. He will resist a little bit, but once he knows that by taking 1 or 2 bites, you are not going to press hard, it'll just ease up his anxiety around trying new things. And once he's tried it a few times, you can check if he wants more, see if he's starting to like it, and just add a little bit more for the next time. I recommend grilling and baking, making food a little crispier, adding flavor to it. And believe it or not, some kids like a bit of a spice. They don't like bland food. So you have to experiment a bit. And I think the sooner you start, the bigger are the chances that he will slowly start experimenting more, be more open to trying new things, and adapt.
Our next question is, I feel so angry at the people who work with my child. I am afraid I might say something and lose their cooperation. I don't know how to continue to play nice anymore.
Well, this reminded me some scenarios. Dealing with anger is tricky. Experts tell us how to feel the feeling, name it, acknowledge it, tell yourself that you have valid reasons why you feel that way. And pick an activity to take out that extra energy out of you. Even if you have to scream in your pillow or join kickboxing, go for a run. If this person is important member of your team, a team meeting, try to send an email. And once you have drafted it, don't send it right away. Wait it out, read it again in the morning, make changes if you have to, and send that in. One thing that I learned to do was approach the same issue from different angles. So sometimes I would know that no matter how I'm going to get them to cooperate for certain service or support, it's just not going to happen. So I'll prepare for 2 or 3 other things that I'm going to ask them, or just ask them, what do you recommend to do? Put them on a spot. Also, if you like to take someone with you for support, that would be great. I'll mention here my favorite organization, Family Support Institute. They help you connect with a resource voluntary parent who can attend the meetings or sort of get you prepared before the meeting of what your agenda should look like, and or be there with you to help you not feel cornered, or help you relax and take a breath in there, or just ask for a few minutes between the meeting. So I hope this has helped. But also evaluate where is this anger coming from? Is there's a reasonable support you're asking for and you're being denied? Also, there's an organization, Inclusion BC, that I would like you to connect with if that's the case. They have a Facebook page, ask questions and get guidance there. Okay, hope it's helpful.
Our last question is, my son is 4 and has a diagnosis of autism and ADHD. He doesn't sleep well and gets more active close to bedtime. What would you suggest?
Well, it's very common. 2/3 of the kids with an autism diagnosis have a dual diagnosis of ADHD. And kids are just running around. They have so much energy. My child was like that too. So it's important to have structured high activity energy releasing activities 2 to 3 times or more during the day, and then have a calm down evening routine like a long bubble bath, relaxing aromatherapy, use of weighted blanket or sleeping bag, white noise. And there's more that I'm going to talk about in one of the following webinars on this topic. If these strategies are not working, then you can also ask your doctor about use of melatonin.
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you, Saad. Link of the recording will be available on the education page of autismsolutions.info shortly. If you have any questions about this or the following webinars, please drop me an email. Thank you and have a good night.